Alright, so welcome back to Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 8. We are getting close to the end, and this week's prompt is heart or hearts. So a while ago I saw it, but I have it on Pinterest. I have a heart board on Pinterest. If anyone needs some ideas, there's heaps in there. But I have a pin of this lovely paper collage of random size hearts cut out of paper and then glued down into this little artwork, which I really liked. So I'm taking inspiration from that, and I am cutting out random hearts out of old bits of fabric and embroideries, and I'm going to attach it to a piece that will get attached to my quilt. Another piece that will get attached to my quilt. I know I'm not working on my quilt at the moment, but I haven't really done much on it this week at all. So I can't really attach because I need to do a lot of cantha stitching. But anyway, I've got lots of scraps. Most of these are old bits of fabric, and some of them are feed sack fabric. So I'm just scratching out the holes because, you know, sometimes when they quilted old quilts and they just put some wool through and tied a knot, that was what was on this old piece of quilt. So I'm just getting old scraps like this, folding them in half, and then I just randomly am cutting out the shape of hearts. Okay, then I open it up, and if it looks okay, I keep it, and if I want it slightly different, then I'll fold it up again. So I've used that fabric. I've just got a little pile of scraps here of quilts I've taken apart. Really like this. Look, you can see all the stitching is here. I think I'll take a little bit through the middle there. So it's always worth keeping your little tiny scraps of fabric because they can come in handy. I mean, I even keep things like this because I'll use a bit of that on somewhere, and there's a tiny bit there. I use the tiniest bits in my slow stitching. Okay, so I'm going to, might do a small one here. Fold that in half. So heart or hearts, you can do love, you can write the word love, you can do big heart, small heart, whatever you want. So I feel like I need to space out the ones that are. And I'm only laying it on just an old piece of linen, cotton linen here. But what I'll probably do is I'll collage some neutral fabrics in the background. Maybe some things like Rachel's script fabric would look good. So I am going to put some stuff in the background. So having a look at what I've got. I'm quite liking a bit of red because it's hearts. Very old feed sack fabrics. These, I actually pulled out these fabrics to get some out for a friend, and I've decided to use them. And that friend knows who she is because we've just been looking at them on video. So a lot of these are just super delicate and sometimes a little bit threadbare with holes and bits in, but I actually love that they're all old and worn. See, I made a little, just need to curve that edge off a bit. That's better. Too small. This is nice. I'm going to use a bit of this. This is so delicate, this piece. It's just falling apart. Look how nice and faded that is. That's lovely, that one. So I'm definitely fitting into the huts with an S category because I'm going to have quite a few. I love the feed sack fabrics. So we can try and go for a few, sorry, I'm probably off camera there, a few different shapes. See what a tall one looks like, and if it looks silly, I'll just cut it down. I think that's fine. Okay. You can see here where that's the bit of the quilt that was facing up and that was tucked under, and you can see the colour variation, how much it's faded. So you can use such tiny little scraps. I might get my scrap bucket out in a minute. I might not need it actually. I've got a lot of feed sack fabrics in front of me. Okay. Can do a little red striped one. I don't know what type of fabric this is. Could be an old shirt. It's quite thick. Oh, hello, kitty. Sorry, she's walking through. Go through, Bob Bob. Off you go, darling. Good girl. Good girl. Just going to bend it that way because it's not straight. We can still get a heart out of it. Oh, I have to tell you, I was driving past this, just a local market yesterday, Saturday, and I was on the phone to Mum. I'm like, oh, I might pop in. It is a vintage market. It's usually clothes, but occasionally I've found doilies there, occasionally. And I'm like, oh, I might just stop and have a look. And so I stopped and I got to park right out front, which was very lucky. And straight away there was a lady selling old, she had a little suitcase with some doilies in, which were quite a good price. So I got a few of them. And then I bought a couple of, gosh, this one might be ridiculously small. I got a couple of, look at that tiny little thing. That's ridiculous. I got a couple of old tea towels, which were cool. And then she had this laundry basket, just said scraps of fabric, old scraps of fabric. So I thought, oh, I'll just have a look. And most of them were like synthetic and yucky and ugly. And then right down the very bottom, I found this piece of fabric and it was really pretty. And the scraps were $2 and it was a piece of Sanderson and a decent sized piece. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I grabbed it straight away. And the lady's like, oh, you got the pretty one. And I'm like, yeah, it's Sanderson. And she's like, what's Sanderson? I was like, oh my gosh, she has no idea what she had. So I literally got a nice piece of Sanderson for $2. That will probably never happen again. And then, yeah, it was good that I stopped too, because then there was a Lego seller, and that's a cute little heart that can go on. They had a lot of old sets of Lego, and I think I've might have told you before, my son likes Lego and my nephews like Lego. So I ended up getting them a bunch of old Lego sets as well, which were good too. So it was worth stopping yesterday. And Mum and I were both saying we really should go to markets a bit more often and check them out. Down where Mum lives, they have them all the time. Markets, like every weekend there's going to be a market somewhere. So it is worth having a look every now and then, seeing what you can find. So I think I was off screen again. This is pretty, I think. And I love that I'm using bits of my old feed sack fabrics. So yeah, I've been pretty tired this weekend, and so has Jamie. I think I told you about the did I? The 24-hour adventure race that the boys at my school do down in the country campus. And they literally go for 24 hours biking first, cycling, then canoeing. So the cycling goes, I think it went for about 6 hours, and they do loops, and they do them in pairs, and the loops take about 40 minutes. I think the fastest was 30 something. I think we had one that did it in 33 at the end, which was fast for that loop. And then there will be some teams that do it slower. And so they all were in teams of around 8 kids, and 2 at a time do the loop, so they get a rest. I think they told me they can have two teams on the track at once. So out of the 8, they can have half the team riding, and then the other half is resting. And then they switch over. It just keeps going for 6 hours, and they do as many loops as they can. So I think the most that a couple of the boys were able to get out was they went round 5 times. I think it was 5 was the most. And then once that's done, then they switch over to canoeing. So they canoe up a river. And while they're canoeing up the river, 2 of the other boys are walking or running up the river in the same direction. And then they meet at a point up the river. It takes about half an hour. And then they switch over, and the 2 that walked up or ran up, they run back. And then the other 2 that canoed, they row back. And then the other 2 that canoed run back. So they just keep doing, it's like a relay. They keep going up and down, up and down. And that went for, I don't know, maybe about 4 hours. And then what they do is they go into it's called a road game, where they go overnight, and it went for hours. I don't know, like 12 hours or something. And they have to get all these markers, and it goes through the night, and they're in teams, and they're all on radio, and they do check-ins all the time and stuff like that. I'm not sure, that one might be a little bit small. It looks a bit silly. And they have to race around. I couldn't even imagine how many kilometres it is. It's a lot. Collecting, like orienteering, like getting markers on their little cards. And that went overnight. So it started at 10 a.m. and essentially finished the next day at the same time. And I left home at like 5:30ish to get down there for their start, and had to drop Alfie at puppy retreat, and was there for all of it. At night I jumped in the car. It got a little bit cold, And there were staff on the station. I went to one of the further stations, and I jumped in the car and thought I'd just have a bit of a rest because I'd, been up since about 5 or before 5. And I kind of dozed in and out of sleep for about 4 hours, so I did have a bit of a rest. Yeah, I disappeared for a little while. I was sleepy. So, but then I got up at 4:30. So that was, I think, 12:30 to 4:30. And then I got up and I drove all over the place finding the boys and chatting to them and taking photos and stuff like that. So I'm exhausted because in 2 days I would have had only 4 hours interrupted sleep, wasn't solid sleep. So yeah, I've been pretty tired. Jamie even more tired because whilst he was working there and working on it, he also did it basically. So he did quite a few laps himself of the cycling. He didn't do the canoeing, but he was busy doing stuff, working. Actually, he was cycling while the canoeing was going on. And then he decided to join one of the teams for the nighttime and did all of that. So he's really tired as well. I'm just going to keep cutting hearts as I chat and decide which ones to do. So how am I going to stitch these on? Well, firstly, what I think I'll do is I think I'll cantha stitch the background. So I'm going to layer up some different fabrics. There's not going to just be a flat background like this. I'm going to layer it up. I'm going to keep cutting hearts and then pick them. And then what I'll do is I think I'll just overcast stitch these down. I won't do cantha on them again. It reminds me a little bit, I think it's Jude Hill. Mum and I think maybe Rach have done the Jude Hill hearts similar, but they're like patches. It's a similar style, but then it's also like the paper collage that I saw. Yeah, so anyway, back to the Rogaine. Yeah, Jamie then did it overnight, so he's exhausted. So that was Friday, and then I had to come back to Sydney. So I went and had a quick brunch with Juju because she's up the hill from where that is. And then I drove back to Sydney and I was actually fine. I thought I'd be tired, but I was fine. I actually wasn't tired at all until I got home, and then we both crashed. And we've been doing bits and pieces this weekend. Like I did have water polo early Saturday morning and stuff, but we have had to catch up on lost sleep as well. So luckily the boys have all went home for a long weekend, which is exciting for their parents to get to see them. And the boys were looking forward to going home. And they all go back next week. So I did have some other sort of fabrics. I could have used some other lovely ones, but I don't think I need them. I've probably got too many hearts. I'll just play around with the colours and what I want. I think I'd like a bigger one in there. You can just layer them where you want them. Do I want another embroidered one? That would look good. But let's see. Okay, I'm going to pause you while I get some fabrics for the background. Okay, I'll be back soon. All right, so we're back on. And this is the kind of fabric I was thinking, just neutral kind of script fabric. These are Rachel fabrics. So now what I'm going to do is layer up and just show you where the hearts might go. All right, so if you can imagine that these would be, the background will be canthared And then these will be stitched down randomly. I'm just trying to put the bigger ones on first. And then fill in the gaps. I think this is going to look good. I like all these old bits of fabric. Oh, and a little spotty. Let's get this one in somewhere. I've got a spotty there. I don't want the spotties too close together. All right, so that will be what it looks like. All right, so I'm not going to stitch tonight. I'm going to go to bed. So it's ready to go, and I can start working on it. So I do have some other ideas for hearts, some bigger hearts and stuff like that. So I might gradually work on some others too and show you some more ideas. Okay, thank you for watching. I think we've got 2 more prompts to go, and then we're just working on it at the end to try and get it done. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.